goodness gracious me, some things are happening in Jamaica that are just horrific. Her partially burnt body was taken to the Percy Junior Hospital. The matter is under investigation. What on God's earth is happening, man? Why? Partially burnt body of a teen girl, 13 years old, found in bushes? Huh? Now what can a 13-year-old do to suffer such horror? In the meantime, Shannon Gordon is only 4 years old. And she was unalived Sunday night. 4 years old. 4 years old. My God. In a mass shooting in St. Catherine, the Prime Minister visited yesterday and described it as an act of criminal terror. Gunmen dressed in police fatigue. She not even get a chance to live her life yet, but God will punish the dirty man them who took her life, said one of Gordon's sobbing relative, who asked not to be named for fear of reprisal. In the meantime, Royal Reid, well, he's back in court today. His case begins today. Well, it started yesterday, but he'll be back today. Very interesting, Mr. Reid, when he was approached by reporters, flashed his finger saying, third term. I don't know what the third term have to do with that, but I guess it's all funny. Did he say third term or fourth term? Anyway, that's a serious matter, and there are 6 lawyers representing them. Mr. Reid, Mr. Pinnock, and his family. 6 attorneys. The whole Jamaica is going to be keeping their eyes on this, you know. This one is going to be very, very interesting, I tell you. Not to mention the politics. I see no one from the Patriot is prepared to come up, eh? After you put up this statement, you should be able to defend it, man. Come on, man. Come on. You're getting cold feet. Slightly distracted. I don't see how you can be coming into the studio when we're on air. So oh, Sandra Green Tea, morning. All right, so the Parliament will have its first sitting today. Oskin, good morning. Its first real sitting, and of course, we now get down to the real business of government converting promises into policies. So the promises made in the Jamaica Labour Party's manifesto will now have to be converted into policies. And remember that some of these promises may require legislative changes to come into effect. I think the Jamaica Labour Party begins that process today of delivering on this third term. The third term is off to a rocky start, you know, because if you recall that one of the major planks of the Labour Party's agenda for re-election was the whole matter of crime reduction. And what we are seeing so far, it appears as if the fight to keep Jamaica and Jamaicans safe will be quite a challenge. The Labour Party would have won, you know, because of macroeconomic stability and gains. They campaigned on their record, including low unemployment and the fall in murder rates. And they were given a mandate to continue. But alas, the security challenges in Jamaica continue. The party also promised infrastructure developments, wage hikes, persons earning $16,000 per week are looking forward to going to $18,500 next year. And thereafter, before the Jamaica Labour Party completes its term of office, minimum wage in Jamaica, they say, will be $32,000. That's in 2030. A minimum wage earner in Jamaica will be getting $32,000. And this is not just going to come about like that, you know. There are going to be many things that will have to happen. It's an aspiration. And quite frankly, we may very well have an election before 2030, depending on how things go in the country. Some would argue that the Labour Party had a more effective, compelling message, and therefore they won. and that the PNP lost because they were less convincing to the discerning voters. Although they came with their own set of promises, like increasing the tax threshold to 3.5 million. Not enough persons were convinced that could have worked. How long I will have to wait? We are now in the middle. give me 2 seconds, listeners. I come right back. 2 seconds, I come right back. Morning to you all over the world. You're joining us. Take care. Hope you had a great day yesterday. All right, so we are in the middle of what is becoming a political one-upmanship on this matter of constitutional reform. Lara Brown morning. And this comes about as a result of a letter written to the opposition leader by the Prime Minister designating Delroy Chuck to meet with Mr. Golding. And of course, Mr. Golding wrote back, putting his letter in the press, suggesting that a better approach would be for leader-to-leader meeting. Well, G2K got involved, and of course G2K is the young professional arm of the Jamaica Labour Party. Well, yesterday Reverend Dr. Paul Blake, that is now the PNP's young professionals, they felt somehow that they need to get involved in this thing too. And here is what they said.
In a statement on Monday, the Patriots say Golding's October 3 letter welcomed the Prime Minister's stated willingness to work together on constitutional reform. They say the letter also stressed that true progress requires a direct dialogue between both leaders. G2K previously stated that Golding's stance is an indicator of his willingness to act as an impediment to Jamaica, removing the United Kingdom's monarch as head of state. But PNP Patriots President Reverend Dr. Paul Blake says G2K's criticism reeks of insecurity.
The criticisms of the G2K reeks of insecurity.
This, he says, comes from realizing that Golding's intellect and composure expose the intellectual anemia of the JLP's own leader.
And in support of their leader, the Patriots says Golding is bright. He's an intellectual. And that the JLP's intellectual anemia is exposed. And he attacks the leadership bench of the JLP. Now, what is the leadership bench of the JLP? Who is involved there? Who is involved in the leadership bench? Kamina Johnson is intellectually anemic. Chris Tufton, intellectually anemic. What about Dana Morris Dixon? Dana Morris Dixon is intellectually anemic.
Oh gosh.
What about Delroy Chuck? Is Delroy Chuck an intellectual? You know what anemia means?
Leadership bench. Dr. Blake,
Play it again.
Dr. Paul Blake says G2K's criticism reeks of insecurity. This, he says, comes from realizing that Golding's intellect and composure expose the intellectual anemia of the JLP's own leadership bench.
No, I'd love Dr. Blake to explain to us what he means by that. That Golding's intellect and composure expose the intellectual anemia of the Jamaica Labour Party. What do you mean by that, Dr. Blake? I don't want to necessarily put any interpretation to that.
Dr. Blake says the Patriots will not entertain lectures from those who mistake loudness for leadership and
that the Jamaica Labour Party is mistaking loudness for leadership.
and partisanship for patriotism. The Patriots urged the JLP and its affiliates to reconsider their stance and embrace Golding's proposal for leader-level talks. In closing, the Patriots noted the constitutional reform process is not about optics, but rather about delivering lasting change for all Jamaicans, especially the youth who will inherit this legacy.
I think that the PNP a look war. Is a look, and I'm going to point it out to you. A war them a look. Sorry about that. We're having a little problem loading up some things here. Just give us a second, please. Just give us a second. Let's load it up, and so we can get back to you properly here. Let's just give us a minute. Okay. All right. So it would be very, very interesting to hear Mr. Oskin on this, So this scathing critique, it's a scathing critique of the Jamaica Labour Party by the Patriots. But really, it reminds us that this type of divisive rhetoric which our political discourse is characterized by it does nothing more than further divide the country. Because what is the Jamaica Labour Party going to be responding to say? What are they going to say? What type of response is Dr. Blake expecting from the JLP? Let's hear from him. I'm trying to see if I can get someone here to talk to me. I'm not getting through. Good morning, sir. Hello? The description of the Prime Minister's leadership bench as intellectually anemic is a phrase that resonates with the PNP Patriots. But it is almost speaking to his own partisan bias. What type of response is Dr. Blake expecting from the Labour Party? And should the Labour Party respond? PA, open the line for me, please. I'm going to have to get back to this. Open the line. Let me talk to him. Should the JLP respond? Because on one hand, responding could be seen as dignifying the PNP's comments and giving undue attention, as we are doing now. On the other hand, ignoring it might be perceived as a tacit acceptance of weakness. And if the Jamaica Labour Party responds, Who should respond? Do they leave this to GT? Or do they
Greetings.
Hello, sir.
Yes, neighbor, good morning to you, sir.
I can't even
Well,
hear you, sir.
wow. Yeah. Well, wow, it speaks volumes that you invited me to speak on this. But I want to make a few things
I
clear.
invited you.
Well, like you said, it would be interesting to hear what my take on this is. So I want to clarify a few things before I talk to you further. Because yesterday, after we were through with that call, I thought I should have done a whole lot more listening. After all, it's your program, and I'm here at your behest. You could decline to have me on, but you chose to do that. So I want to thank you for that. And this is only my second day of having this kind of access on this platform. It took me a while to build up just over 60 followers. So
You sorry, you only have
you asked.
You only have 60 followers.
Yes, 60 plus. Yeah, man. So yesterday you had asked me how I voted, and I told you. But I want to build a point before I get to this. And
you only have 60 followers, sir?
60 plus, yeah, just over 60. Just over 60 followers.
You have to have 60 followers to join a live.
You have to have bare minimum 50 to go live. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Above 50, it's permissible for you to go live. Yeah, man.
So you will be going live?
I want to. Please repeat.
Will you be going live?
I did my own 2 live broadcasts. One yesterday and one early this morning. Like pretty early. The one this morning, I had no one really stayed with people just passed through. And just kind of
how many people you had on it?
Have a long old monologue. Huh?
You had a monologue. How many people you had on it?
No one stayed. People passed through. I don't remember I looked at the data. No one stayed. And so I had this long old monologue.
I tell you what you're doing. You're gonna be getting popular as of now, because now you are on this program. A lot of people will follow you.
Well, yes, and as let me tell you something. Your program going places, man.
When I started, see, when I started, I had 70 people.
Yeah. And the program going places.
And you had none.
Yeah.
I see. What were you talking about?
This is a service you're giving to the nation. I just spoke about random stuff, but it's more about what the central thing. If there was one central point I made, it was about the moment called now, and about us not needing to compete with each other for our personal goals, but to have a standard for ourselves, see that standard, know where we want the high point to be, and keep competing with that, our own standards. Invariably, you will compete with people if you're doing something that anyone else is doing, and I don't know anything that anyone is doing that no one else is doing. So invariably, you will compete just by default, because it's the nature of how we are. But if you don't focus on competing with the other person, then you're pretty much going to be the best version of yourself. And when you get to that plateau, if you so desire, you choose another one. And if you don't, you just relax, because you've done all you can. So that's the central point. But I meandered around other things, because then I healed people, whatever the answer. So it's just some little things between that. But you had asked me yesterday when we were through talking how I voted, and I've never been bashful about that. I'll tell people, but I'll tell you a story. I remember seeing Dr. Ford years and years ago, over 30 odd years, and he was handing a leaflet to me. That's Dr. Jeffter Ford. Both men, Dr. Ford and Mr. Smith there with the ancestors now. And he was handing a leaflet to me, and I said, Dr. Ford, I'm not going to take that from you, sir. I didn't say, why not? I said, because I'm really going to vote for you. I didn't say, why? And then I bawled out and I said, this is the same reason why I'm not vote for Mr. Smith. And I never voted for both of those men at all. So people said it was the people in a small circle. Now may I talk to whoever, how many number of people listening to this, that I wasted the vote because I first voted for an entity known as the Ethiopian World Federation, a guy named Dilpi Champany. He was the candidate, and I think he got a few votes. Now, years after, and then I always voted PNP for the councillor, a woman named Nina. I don't remember the person after her.
Are you hearing me,
Then
sir?
for the first,
Are you hearing me?
yep, I'm hearing you now. I'm hearing you now. Yeah.
Okay.
Am I coming through clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then for the first time I voted for a JLP councillor was a man named Vernon McLeod before he changed his division to the Havendale division.
Anyway,
A solid guy. I know him as a.
all right, so
Yeah.
I want to talk this morning about I have a monologue here on the G2
Yeah.
the Patriots letter.
I didn't hear all of it. I didn't hear all of it. I heard the tail end of it. Yeah. Well,
And
that
have you
letter,
heard
you
it?
see,
No, have you heard it? Have you heard it, sir?
I heard parts of it. I didn't hear you at the beginning.
listen
I
to
heard
it.
parts of it.
Yes, Michael Forney.
Here is it.
In a statement on Monday,
Oh no, man! I heard that. I heard that the anemic statement.
October 3 letter welcomed the Prime Minister's stated willingness to work together.
Hello?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yes, neighbor.
The leadership bench of the Labour Party is anemic.
No, man, I wouldn't say that. In fact, there is what's the word now we're looking for? A convergence of intellectual capital in the JLP right now. I mean, it's led by a guy with a PhD, a man with a PhD, the Honorable Prime Minister. Dr. Tufton sits right there. He's a university lecturer. Before politics.
What about Dana Morris Dixon?
A bright woman, that man. I mean,
yes,
she has
Kamina Johnson Smith.
And gentleman from St. Elizabeth, Floyd. I don't remember his last name right now. There are a lot of brilliant people in the JLP. That guy, Andre, oh God, I think he's Deputy General Secretary or something like that.
Andre Franklin.
There's a lot of bright, brilliant people in the JLP.
Yeah, but let's talk about the leadership bench. The leadership bench of the Labour Party is anemic.
No man, they're brilliant people.
So
the other day I heard.
You're not listening. Why, if the PNP is asking for dialogue and consensus, why are they saying that the leadership bench is anemic?
People that throw shade, brother. And that's not what leaders do. You see, it's politics, and you can't, listen, neighbor, you cannot go down to the doctor to have him or her diagnose something that's ailing you, ask them to take the medicine out of it. So if you can't expect a politician, whether he or she is in the government or the opposition, to take politics out of what they do.
Why would you be asking the party to meet with you, to acquiesce, to change their position, and you are disrespecting the leadership of the party, calling them anemic, intellectually anemic? Is it that the PNP does not really want to meet? Is it that they just don't want to meet here? They just want to be divisive. Is this what is happening? Because I can't see how the Labour Party will, from this point, want to be in anything with these people.
No, but they do not have the option of not wanting to be in anything with these
Then
people
why
as
are
you
you
describe them,
calling the
because that's
leadership
not
of the Labour
that's not their
Party?
elected role.
Why is the PNP, did the PNP leader, Mr. Mark Golding, and the leadership of the PNP, did they read this statement by Dr. Blake?
I don't know, and I can't see why they wouldn't if they're responsible leaders.
Did Mr. Golding approve this statement?
I don't know, but I don't see any reason why he wouldn't if he agrees with it.
So does Mr. Golding agrees that the leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party is intellectually anemic? Isn't this political?
Perhaps, but we don't know, brother. Perhaps he does, but we don't know. I mean, like, it's the same thing as when Mr. Golding had said it seems as if termites have eaten out their brains. It's, you see, it's a thing, it has characterized our politics. There is something, I don't, you see, I've seen the politics. I'm very grateful for where the politics is now. I think I could feel it's okay for me to say who I voted for. Like, you know, I didn't vote for, I'll come back to what you want, your central point. But I didn't vote for Dwayne the other day. I voted for him as councillor, I know. I voted for both parties. Because I remember when they were trying to insert, well, whichever persons Dwayne into the politics, when I thought, my God, why would you be going around Dr. Clark to put this guy in like it's something that's being bequeathed to him? Like we have Michael Phillips, like we have Colonel Charles Jr., the Charles siblings. And I'm asking myself, are these the best talents for leadership? Why these folks, just like we had Manley, Mr. Michael Manley, from his father, Norman Manley, and we see what both him and Mr. Siaga did together. And we can make all kinds of allegations, even though those men have joined their ancestors. But to bring it back to today, we have had a politics that has been characterized by extreme violence and people getting at each other verbally and taking pot shots and snipes and throwing shade like little children. And, you know, a child said to me years ago when I was saying these people are being childish, that children don't do those things because children will be punished for those things. And some of the things that we're calling childish, children can't because adults will punish them.
I have to take a break, sir.
All right, my boss.
All right, listeners, please tap the screen and share the live. We go with you until 12 o'clock. Tap the screen and share the live. And of course, there's a live poll on your screen. Help us to achieve that before we close here. If you are interested in sponsoring the program, segments of the program, we have a Cash App, we have a Zelle account, and we would appreciate your contributions. Your support for the program Politics Plus, 876-858-9553. That's the number to text to support the program, 876-858-9553. Of course, you should help us with the live goal that is on the screen by sending gifts, all right? And that's how the program works. So if you're in the United States especially and you want to support this year program, 876-858-9553. This morning we have on the agenda a letter written, I think it's a media release, by the patriots of the People's National Party. Very scathing, very rude. Quite frankly, I find it quite offensive that the PNP could be referring to the Jamaica Labour Party as intellectually anemic. Is Dr. Holness intellectually anemic? Is this the type of environment that we are going to meet in? I rather doubt it. 876-858-9553 for your contributions, please. Treasure at 62. Good morning. Just wanted you on to know that we have adjusted the time. The morning program now starts at 9 o'clock. All right. So all of you who are planning to join at 11, you'll be late. You have to come at 9. 9 till 12. All right. Oskin?
Yes, sir, neighbor.
Come back at 10:15. I'm going to go to the notes.
Yeah, man. Cheers.
All right. So the scathing critique of the Jamaica Labour Party by the Patriots is a stark reminder of the divisive rhetoric that often characterizes our political discourse. The assertion that the JLP's criticism reeks of insecurity is a classic example of projection, where the accuser attributes their own flaws to their opponent. It's not the Jamaica Labour Party that is insecure, Dr. Blake. It is you. It's you. It is the JLP's confidence in its policies and record that has earned it the right to be where it is today. It is the Jamaica Labour Party that was chosen over your party to be the government of Jamaica. And so your criticism of the Jamaica Labour Party is a disrespect to the people of Jamaica who made that choice. Are you telling me that when the people of Jamaica went to the poll to choose their leader, they chose intellectually anemic people? Dr. Blake, the description of the Prime Minister and his leadership bench as intellectually anemic is a phrase that resonates with the PNP Patriots president's own partisan biases. Look at your bench. Have you taken a look at the PNP's bench? It is not an objective assessment of the Jamaica Labour Party's leadership capabilities. Are you telling me that Dana Morris Dixon is intellectually anemic? She's part of the leadership bench. Chris Tofton, Dr. Chang. It is a telling indictment on the PNP's own intellectual insecurity that they feel the need to resort to such vitriol to make their point. I challenge a member of the Patriots to come up here and talk to me about it. It's a telling indictment on the PNP. Your own intellectual insecurity. Why you feel that you need to resort to such vitriol to make your point. Dr. Blake's statement is a masterclass in the art of deflection. Dr. Blake, you are deflecting. I'd love to write the Jamaica Labour Party's response to this. I could, you know, I'd love to write the Jamaica Labour Party's response to Dr. Blake's statement. If I was working for the Labour Party, I would write a proper response for you. It's a masterclass in the art of deflection, attempting to shift the focus away from the substance of the JLP's criticism and onto the perceived shortcoming of the Jamaica Labour Party's leadership. Is a shifting, is a masterclass of deflection. But this approach is nothing more than a thinly veiled attempt to obscure the real issue at hand. Because the call for leader-level talks is a reasonable one, but it is rendered hollow by the PNP's inflammatory rhetoric. The rhetoric of the PNP is inflammatory and will not advance the call for leader-to-leader talks. You can refer to my bench as intellectually anemic, and then you want me to talk with you. It tells you how the People's National Party are more interested in style rather than substance. And that's why you lost the election. How can the JLP be expected to engage in meaningful dialogue with the PNP when the leadership of the PNP is clearly marred in partisan point scoring? Tell me, listeners. How can you expect us to go to the table when your rhetoric is so offensive, so demeaning, and so partisan? The PNP's patriots' approach to this issue is a perfect example of the kind of divisive politics that has plunged our nation into, quite frankly, the abyss. Because rather than seeking to build bridges and find common ground, the patriots have chosen to fan the flames of partisan division, seeking to mobilize their base rather than unite the country. Shame on the PNP. In contrast, good morning, Denise, a more conciliatory approach to constitutional reform would prioritize dialogue, cooperation, and a genuine commitment to finding solutions that benefit all Jamaicans. It would require a willingness to listen to opposing viewpoints, to seek common ground, and to put the interests of the nation above partisan gain. The patriots, in their statement, manifest what is called performative contradiction. Physiosophically, what the patriots have done is what is called performative contradiction. Now, performative contradiction is when an individual words or actions contradict the very principles or claim they are trying to assert. Mr. Dr. Blake is performing a contradiction, because you can't be claiming that you want consensus and at the same time your rhetoric is divisive. It's intellectually dishonest. In this case before us, the PNP is accusing the JLP of intellectual insecurity, while simultaneously demonstrating their own intellectual insecurity through the language and personal attacks. Do you follow? Performative contradiction. Performative contradiction, Dr. Blake and the Patriots, is when your actions contradict the principles that you are trying to expose. You're accusing the Labour Party of being intellectually insecure. In other words, Dr. Holness can't meet with Mark because Mark bright. Is that what you're saying, you know, that Dr. Holness don't have the intellectual capacity to meet with Mark, so then he sends Chuck. So you're accusing the Labour Party of being intellectually insecure. But then when you use language like you use in your statement and your personal attack, aren't you being intellectually insecure yourself? And they have remained quiet. They have remained dead quiet, because all they did was let's take a break. Eight 858-9553. If you're in the United States, especially, and you want to support Politics Plus, 876-858-9553. Or you can send us a message right here on the program. Just go to the page and send a message to us. We have a Cash App and we have a Zelle account that you can make a contribution, okay? A contribution to support the program. If you're in Jamaica or anywhere else in the world, you can use the same number, send us a message, and we'll be in touch with you, all right? There is a live goal on the screen. We ask that you help us to achieve that too. Let's continue to dissect this piece of nonsense that the Patriots put out. The behavior there is a psychological concept that is called reaction formation. Now, reaction formation is where an individual defends against their own unconscious feeling or impulses by denying or attributing them to others. The Patriots' behavior is not only performative is not only a performative contradiction, it's a reaction formation. The aggressive language and the personal attacks suggest that they may be compensating for feelings of intellectual inadequacy. The PNP's, the Patriots' response could be psychoanalyzed and attributed to their loss. They don't feel confident. They are revealing their own intellectual inadequacy and a sense of insecurity. Furthermore, if you look at the statement, you realize that it is nothing but self-aggrandizement, self-promotion, an elevation of themselves by diminishing others. They are diminishing the labor rights. You know, historically in Jamaica, the Labour Party, they are not the bright ones. Come on, Dr. Blake. What do you mean? It's a bigging up of the Patriots. What do you mean intellectual anemic? You are diminishing the labor rights and you are attacking the Jamaica Labour Party's leadership and touting your own perceived intellectual superiority. Listen to what they said. Listen to what it is. Yes. That Golding is an intellectual. Golding is an intellectual. Who questioned here? Where was the question of Mark Golding's intellectual capacity? No one questioned that. But the approach is ultimately self-defeating because it reveals a lack of confidence and a sense of intellectual insecurity. A truly confident and secure individual would not feel the need to resort to such personal attacks and would instead focus on engaging in constructive debate and discussion. The statement, moreover, emphasizes on perceived intellectual superiority, and the use of complex language can be seen as a form of, what is called cultural capital, where people seek to establish their intellectual credentials and distinguish themselves from others. It's elitist. It's dismissive of others. The PNP ought to be ashamed that it allowed such a statement to come out from the so-called intellectual young professionals of the People's National Party. It's an elitist statement that dismisses others. It's counterproductive, alienates people. The statement by the Patriots is unhelpful. It doesn't advance the process. By prioritizing personal attacks and partisan point scoring over constructive engagement, he's undermining the very process he claims to support. The very process he wants to support is the very process that he's undermining. Because all that this will do is entrench divisions and make it more challenging to achieve meaningful reform. It's really more about self-promotion than advancing the cause of constitutional reform. They have no interest in advancing constitutional reform. It's a hollow argument that reveals more about their own intellectual insecurities than the merits of the Jamaica Labour Party's criticism. Pompous pronouncement often precede precipitous pitfalls. Pompous pronouncements often precede precipitous pitfalls. The patriots are only trying to make people think that they're bright. It only perpetuates partisan division and undermines the potential for productive progress. Nothing more. Petty pontifications proving to be particularly problematic. Peevish remarks and partisan posturing, pandering to the base rather than promoting purposeful policy discussions. Petty pontifications proving to be particularly problematic. Peevish remarks prioritized, pandering to the partisan base of the People's National Party. It's not promoting purposeful policy discussions. I'm using the same language, Hugh Blair, because I'm speaking to them. It's them I'm talking to, you know. Like, yeah, it's the patriots I'm talking to because they love use big words. So take back some. That's all they were doing there. Is a big word. Is a big word contest they want to get into because they say the Labour Party bench is anemic. It's anemic. Petty pontifications proving to be particularly problematic. Pompous pronouncements is going to result in precipitous pitfalls. Hugh Blair, profound problems require patient and principled problem solving. Instead of engaging in puerile personal attacks, the PNP patriots would do well to promote a more constructive and conciliatory approach to constitutional reform, one that prioritizes progress over partisan point scoring. Should the Jamaica Labour Party respond? It's a delicate matter. On one hand, responding could be seen as dignifying the PNP's President Patriots' comment and giving it undue attention. On the other hand, ignoring it might be perceived as a tacit acceptance or weakness. I'd love to construct the response for the Jamaica Labour Party. But of course, I'm not in such position. So I leave it to them. It's time to go to the callers. Let's hear from you. I'm coming back to this later, you know, because I want to say a little bit more. I want to say a little bit more on it. If you are online and you want to comment on this or any other matter, it's your time. 26 minutes after 10 o'clock. Let's go. Thank you, Mr. Blair. Thank you for the taps. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. All right, so we're still waiting for you to join. As we said earlier, the parliament will be reconvened today. The Jamaica Labour Party will now need to convert its promises into policies, and to do that, the party will have to prioritize policy implementations. The campaign policies of the party will now have to be brought into sharp focus, and they have to ensure that they deliver on the engaging. And this is why it is so important that the relationship between the government and the opposition is even workable. This is why this me involved. Civil society perspective, in the country. And of course, that there are mechanisms in place to monitor and to evaluate the effectiveness of the policies as they go forward. I see problems on the horizon, though, because the government is trying to kickstart its legislative agenda, and part of that legislative agenda is the whole matter of constitutional reform. And you see the problem that they have run into, where they can't even get a meeting with the opposition initially, at least to set the agenda. Rather than that, it has turned out into nothing but a political brawl, with the professional arms of both parties now, trading barbs. It's very interesting. So that's what is happening. The party will have to balance its commitment to continuity with the need to reform. I see the Prime Minister speaking about transitioning of leadership, that his government is in transition mode. Clearly, the Prime Minister is suggesting that a number of persons, maybe even within the cabinet, will not be there for the fourth term. And therefore, how he has presented or configured the cabinet suggests that the new batch of leadership is beginning to emerge. People like Audrey Marks, people like Dana Morris Dixon, young Floyd Green, Carencia Morrison, Tova Hamilton, Krista Lee. These are the persons in the Rhoda Moy Crawford. These are going to be the ministers in the coming years. Of course, there are pressing issues in the country, like crime. We see, for example, over there in Manchester today, a 13-year-old girl found in bushes. The situation over in St. Catherine, where there was almost a mass murder. These are challenges that the country have. And how are we going to foster national unity with a People's National Party that seems to just want to be divisive? We probably will have to go to civil society to see whether we can find consensus there. And so let's see how the party prioritizes all of these issues going forward. All right. So I think most people are probably at work listening, and therefore they can't talk. So let me just see if I can keep going for a few more minutes. We see that the police have implemented a 48-hour curfew in Linstead, where the killings took place. The curfew aims to restore order and reduce tensions in the area. That's very, very sad. Over in St. Catherine, that situation there is on most people's lips, and it is a very, very sad state of affairs over there today. Okay, what's happening on your side there, PA? Nobody's coming up. All right. If nobody's coming up, then let's go here and see if we can come back with some more notes. We'll have more for you. We'll have more for you. Just give us a minute. All right, let's come here. Okay. All right.
Do that if they don't think about it. The question has to be, can a PNP led by Mark win in another 4 years or another 5 years? Those are two very, very different positions. And if the PNP does not adopt the position in the latter question, meaning can Mark win in 4 or 5 years, if they don't do that, if they don't think about that, they're going to lose the question.
All right, so you hear Miss Dion Jackson that the PNP are going to lose if they don't address the question of can Mark win. Good morning, ma'am.
Just a quick question. I'm at work. Good morning to you and good morning to your viewers. If I want to donate towards the program every month, I could just send it straight to that WhatsApp number that I got, the Zelle.
You have the Zelle account?
Yes, I do. I did the last time.
Yes, absolutely. It hasn't changed. That's
Okay,
so nice.
so I could just go ahead without asking any questions.
Once you have it, yes, it's the same number.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good day.
Well, so nice of you. Thank you so much for calling. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
All right, great. Okay. That's a nice caller there. Yes, morning. Sorry to cut you off earlier, sir. Go ahead. Hello, Oskin.
Yeah, man, I'm back with you.
Oh, yeah.
Are you hearing me clearly, brother?
I can. Oh, go ahead. Yes, I'm hearing you.
Sir, neighbor?
I am hearing you, sir.
Yeah, man, no apologies needed for that. You have to do what you have to do now. Say again?
No, sir.
That I'm on mute. Oh, one moment, please. No, but this, it's not showing us mute on my end at all.
I'm hearing you, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man. So, having seen the politics from, I'm very hopeful about where we're going. I am. I'm very, very, very hopeful about where I'm going. Having seen the politics from since the late 70s, that's when I started paying attention to it, because you couldn't ignore the 1979 run-up to the 1980 election. That was a very traumatizing period for most Jamaicans who lived through that period and were aware of it. While I was spared by that, all the violence that came with that, because I lived in deep rural, you couldn't help noticing it still. And the shortage of food, and there are theories around that and allegations, what the opposition did then and so forth, and external forces from both sides, from the east and the west, extremes. And we had all those guns and stuff. And fast forward to today, where you're seeing JLP and PNP support. You can go Tower Hill, go see a man named Orange Shirt today. You can go Tivoli, go see a man named Orange Shirt. You can go Arnett Gardens, go see a man named Green Shirt. You couldn't see those things. You couldn't see people in green shirt in Seaview Gardens and so forth back in the day. So we have come a very far way where that is concerned. And I think the leadership up through the 90s kind of helped to stave off that. If we were to give some credit to all our politicians over the years, because every single politician that has led Jamaica has added some value to it. Every single one of them. Everyone. I really wanted to see what Mr. Golding would have offered. And when Mr. Holness won Mrs. Simpson Miller, when he lost the first time, I told my friends that, it would have been good if this gentleman had won the election. So we have the continuity of what Mr. Golding has started. Because what I've found with both political parties, they tend to have this disruptive nature about them. And it's while they're maturing, they're not maturing fast enough to not. They're stopping programs that previous governments started, or they rebranded so they can get the credit for it and so forth. I think we're going to grow past that. And I think the next generation of politicians will realize that. It's an ideal, and idealism doesn't run politics, because, you have to live in the real world with what's happening around you. You have to deal with the things that's happening on the ground. But to bring it back to this letter, I do believe that there are behind the scene workings that we're not privy to, I think you mentioned a word earlier. It's puerile. It's petty on both sides. But if I'm going to be very honest, even though, as you may get that, I support the PNP a little more than I support the JLP. Even though when I was growing up, there was an Edward Seaga photo on my wall.
Yes.
Say again?
Yeah, you support
I missed what you just said.
PNP more than the Labour Party? I've never heard that.
I'm not a diehard into any of this. I prefer the PNP more than the JLP. But I think there are no ideological differences between both parties, really.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
They're not very great ones, neighbor. They're both capitalist driven. The PNP used to be a more Eastern driven ideologue sets.
Yeah, the PNP seem to believe in distributing wealth that they don't know how we get it.
Back in the day, not so much now. It's run by a true capitalist. Mr. Golding is a perfect example of a true. Say again?
Go ahead.
Now, if you look at Mr. Bunting and Mr. Golding, those guys are perfect example of capitalists. They are. They're one of the best examples. So when I was a child, the PNP was a really outright socialist party, and so much so that Jamaica was scared that communism would come to our shores, and it created this left and right division between the Western Hemisphere, driven by our great neighbor, the United States, and the USSR. And we had all those armaments, that ordnance coming from both of those sides that came to us. And Mr. Manley and Mr. Seaga oversaw a very horrible and traumatic part of our history. Now, when Mr. Holness won the first time, and during his inauguration speech, I remember very clearly, just as I remember something from Mr. Patterson, and he said he's going to revive the plans of Mr. Norman Manley to build the government ministries around the Heroes Circle. I never forgot that. I don't know if this land acquisition and all that eminent domain thing, I don't know a law like that the government has access to, and how it would displace people and so forth. But if you notice around there, the Ministry of Education is there, the Finance Ministry is there, Social Security Ministry is there. And right now I see government buildings being, government ministries renting spaces, like the Ministry of Justice. Government doesn't own that building. And the Ministry of National Security, they're in one of those towers, those NCB towers up there on Old Hope Road. Like I believe that we have so far to go and so many things to do, that the more our leaders fight, the more our leaders pull our people in a direction where, when you come on social media, and sometimes I'm just like, if these younger people knew what we were coming from back in the days with all the violence that came with political maneuverings leading up to elections, then they wouldn't curse each other so much and call each other all kinds of just nasty names that makes very little sense to someone like me, because I see that men have put down that way of life. It makes no sense for the leaders to what's the word I'm looking for? Posturing, doing this. You mentioned something earlier, one-upmanship. That not going nowhere, brother. And so it's an unfortunate statement where the gentleman calling the JLP anemic, intellectually anemic. It don't make no sense. Not support it. Just like the other day, I heard a guy, a gentleman calling from overseas, and he was saying that Mr. Golding not paying no taxes. And I think it was Scratchy said, no, you don't have to do that, because the man are paying taxes. So we at this level don't need to get dragged into the mud for our own sake, because that will not take us where we're going. But people take their cues, and remember this, if you really want to know how influential leaders are, I couldn't imagine seeing people wearing green shoes and orange shoes anywhere. But people do that. It not match with nothing except your political partisan thing. And I get the fun part of it, because that's very necessary in electioneering, in campaigning. It's very necessary for people to create a message and to have the paraphernalia that goes with that. Get that still. So if a man can influence you to wear a pair of green shoes and a pair of orange shoes, even though the whole Clark Steppers thing there, originally, if we know so about more the history, a Spangler's man thing that PNP is something.
All right.
You know, even though I come from a country, we know that, me myself know that.
How do you think we are going to move this constitutional reform process forward, based on the present impasse? Created largely by
so our two leaders need a reset right now.
The two leaders need to reset.
Well, I'm not sure. Yeah, man, they need a reset right now. So they can step back from this. They don't have to make this go any further. They just need to rein in the people, change the rhetoric. Don't expect a politician to take the side of the opposing party. It's never going to happen. Politicians don't do that. It's not part of the playbook. But it can be done with some class. It can be done with some finesse. It can be done with some gentlemanly conduct. And it will be shown who is intellectually sharper. I almost said superior, but I don't like that word. You see, the PNP has always been known to be a party of intellectuals. It was started that way. And the PNP had the intellectual capital more than the JLP. And I used to call the JLP all kinds of derisive names. I always repeated it. So I saw Mr. Damon Crawford had done something like that, and then he had to apologize. I think Mr. Bunting had done that too. So we don't need to take the people in another direction. The legislative agenda requires the brightest legal minds in both parties to be talking to people like Dr. Lloyd Barnett. Those are sharp intellects who are constitution lawyers who know how this document works and know the provisions in it and know the history of it. I don't. So I can't give you any meaningful suggestion. But you have people with the training.
Yes, isn't this statement from Dr. Blake revealing the elitist nature of the PNP, sir? Why
Yeah, break up.
Yeah, break up? Am I breaking up? Or you?
Yeah, man, it is an elitist statement. It is. There's no doubt about that.
Then why are you supporting them, sir? After they continue to behave in this way. I mean, how can you be asking for collaboration, for consensus, when you basically are trace me out? Tell me semi-dunks.
They have the work cut out for them because the people watching and the people will judge them at the polls again.
Hold on, sir. Hold on. Grandma? 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 No, she's not. Oskin? Oskin? Hello? Hello, sir.
Yeah, brother.
Listen to this.
Yes, sir, neighbor. Yes, neighbor.
A PNP led by Mark win in another 4 years or another 5 years. Those are two very, very different positions. And if the PNP does not adopt the position in the latter question, meaning can Mark win in 4 or 5 years, if they don't do that, if they don't think about that, they're going to lose.
Can Mark lead the PNP to electoral success?
If he's doing the things he has been doing, no. If he changes like 180 and any other direction, he may very well do that, because if he has shrunk
So you are saying you're saying he cannot win if he does not change.
Now he has to change some things. Obviously, he did some changing. Let me tell you, I predicted that they would lose. I was talking to a very connected JLP attorney, and from a JLP family, a well-known family in the city here. And I said it to him that the JLP will win again. And him say, "You sound like my uptown friend." I said, "No, facts are facts, man." And on the ground, the people not feeling the PNP. And that's why they lost. Because if you see, the PNP is living on past. The PNP had a good, strong past. And the PNP, for many different reasons, which some of them, because it's opinionated, I'm not going to get into them, because I don't have all the facts. But the PNP can't be calling itself comrades and them something there, because those days are gone. Communism not going to come to Jamaica. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, yes.
Never ever.
And this blood and fire. What that means, sir? What was that about?
Them they think that I'm gonna man. Them they think that nobody now listen to that. Who listening to that? Who is? You think but I don't come here to hide my conscience and talk to you, I'm not hung up on partisan things, Like I tell you, I had a JLP delegate leading in my family, I come out when you hear Bruce Golding say in my Rockstone labor right, but I'm gonna put them things up on my head. I'm not taking those things unto myself. I'm a Jamaican man. I've served this country, and if I had the resources financially, that is, I would be serving this country in other ways. And I've talked to two JLP guys. One of them won in a seat the other day that the JLP had locked away. And I told them how I feel, and they've never been offended like us. Some people get offended if you give a position that's not echoing theirs.
Thank you, Better Life. Thank you for that gift. What are the changes that Golding needs to make as a supporter of the party? Listen to Dion again. Listen to Dion.
No,
the question has to be, can a PNP led by Mark win in another 4 years or another 5 years? Those are two very, very different positions. And if the PNP does not adopt the position in the latter question, meaning can Mark win in 4 or 5 years, if they don't do that, if they don't think about that, they're going to lose.
They're going to lose. It's almost up. Dion is saying that if the PNP don't examine Golding's winnability, then they are likely to suffer a fourth election loss. Is he winnable? And what are the things that he would need to change, Oskin?
I can't give a clear answers about that, but there's one observation I've made. I don't know if you remember Dr. Nigel Clark. He's a politician I really respect. I met him once too. Humble guy. People might think he doesn't have that puffed up aura about him like some people have who are high achievers. Mr. Golding is a big time high achiever. His people get into his ethnicity and all of that. Listen, if our history with enslavement and Britain and all of that, I have very, very strong views about that. I have very, very strong views about what Norman Manley did to the PNP, to the People's Progressive Party with Marcus Garvey. But people need to get away from his ethnicity because he is a Jamaican. Nobody question that, and nobody can come to with foolishness about that. The man is a Jamaican. He's a high-achieving Jamaican. He just happened to have pink skin. People call them white people, but they're not white, and we're not black. Them call it black. Look on your skin. You're not black. Your hair black. Your microphone black. But you're not a black person. You're a Jamaican African. But if you're not into African business, you're a Jamaican man. And Mr. Golding got into this thing like he want to talk like a street man and all them something there. It not fit him. And I don't want the internal leadership of the party itself. I think the greatest harm the PNP did to itself, the JLP did to itself back in the day, when you had Mr. Golding and those guys and Samud and them wrestling power away from Mr. Siaga. And they had that thing with Mrs. Simpson Miller, who I think should never have led the PNP. And I've told that to, again, another senior PNP guy but some people like give the woman a chance, and like I don't see any great leadership that came out of her. Now, Mr. Golding mustn't pretend to be a street man. He's not a street man. And a fame thing that the leadership that he has given to the party clearly has made a dent. So I'm not going to question his leadership like that. It has made a dent at the polls recently. You see things like, let me tell you, things that really hurt an organization. If you're not showing the magnanimity, I used the word puerile earlier. Like when people are talking about Mr. Holness house and them something there, nobody don't want to hear them thing there. Nobody want to hear about the man house in a building. Everybody wants a nice house. If you can work, feet and earn it, you build that and you build a secure place and you set up your future for your children and you create generational wealth. Everybody wants that. So when it comes to people and talk about things like those, those are the things that I believe that had really hurt the PNP. And when they were talking about the bank accounts the other day, if the leader was doing something that's untoward, and you call me a PNP supporter, but I said I prefer the PNP while I voted for both parties. I'm not a supporter of a party, an organization. It's Bustamante and Norman Manley, two cousins organizations. Those create a duopoly on us here in Jamaica. Of course, he will lose again if there aren't some changes that are made, but he could very well win because they made a dent in it. They made a dent in it. My one observation is that he must have gone at a street man. Dr. Clark is a man that didn't pretend like he was a street man. He come from poorer middle class background, and he's a high intellect guy, Dr. Nigel Clark, and he had this kind of accent that almost sounded British. Man is an Oxford man. He's a Rhodes Scholar. He spent some time there. People become newer versions of themselves. So if a man grew up and attack a particular way and he reach a certain standard in his life and is interacting with people at a certain level and a certain ilk, then it's going to come out. With some people it does not. If you look at a private sector leader like Leachin, he has lived in Canada, but him just don't sound like Canadians. Yeah, but some people don't. They are around a particular group. After a while, they take on that.
It's 11 o'clock. I have to go. Thank you.
Perfect love.
11 o'clock. Coming back to you, callers.
Blue Diary.
876-858-9553. That's the number to send a contribution to Politics Plus. All right. 876-858-9553. Please stop the screen for us at this time. Please stop and clear the line. All right. Thank you for your gifts. Thank you for your support. Yeah, we have to have patience, see? I tell you. 876-858-9553. All right, let's go to the caller. Carly, open your microphone. Not there. My friend USA, how you doing?
I'm doing great, neighbor. How are you?
Man, what a wonderful day today is. Hi, morning. We started a little earlier these days, sir. I mean, a lot of our listeners are hoping to catch us at 11 o'clock. They may be joining us in a few minutes. So, morning.
Yes, because this morning, I'm on the job and I just do a little run through and see that, your time changed. So, I said, great. because it's
Yes.
early. 9 o'clock.
Yes,
That's 10 o'clock my time.
yeah. Well, we life is very fluid, and we have to sometimes do a little change. There are a number of things that we're trying to get right on the network
Mhm.
in terms of other things we have to do. So be patient with us.
Okay. All right. My topic this morning, neighbor,
Uh-huh.
I have a little burn in my heart right now because I cannot understand how some Jamaican just cannot talk it the way it is. The hypocrite, as what you say yesterday. Some of them, they're hypocrites. And the reason why I say that, with Jackson Miller, that lady,
Yes.
she's a we know that that woman is a pimpy, and
Well,
when she talk the truth, and we listen to her. She talk the truth in her way, not to say we believe her, but when she say that with Mark Golding, that's the first time I'm gonna use that guy's name. If that guy continue on the party hand, the People's National Party not gonna be in power for a long time. I can agree with that. As long as Mark, he is the leader for the People's National Party, the People's National Party will be the opposition for life. Once that guy, serious neighbor, serious.
uh-huh.
Once Mark Golding gonna be the leader for the
He's
People's
not
National Party.
he's not winning. He's not able to win an election.
Okay, no,
No?
he lost that by election. He lost the parish council election, and he lost his own general election. The guy is just loser. The guy is just not fit to be the leader of the Jamaican people. Period.
Uh-huh.
The way he tried to talk, he doesn't talk like us Jamaican. He tried to use the slang on the street, go to the bars like if he's one of us. It doesn't fit him. I think if he be himself and be himself, I think he would be doing a better thing for himself. He trying to act like Jamaican. He's not. The guy's not. And he lost 3 elections. He won't win nothing as long as he be the leader for the People's National Party. They're gonna be in the opposition.
Oh,
It's the same thing they do with Edward Siaga. They bash that guy for the leadership because they said Edward didn't look like us, he didn't born there, and all of that. And Edward Siaga lost that election 1989 and never go back in power. Never. That's the same thing happening to the People's National Party.
yes.
Remember PJ Patterson come out and say Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Well, fresh black man time.
Our black man time? Well, Andrew Holness come out and said, I Barnia, I man Barnia.
Uh-huh.
At 1 p.m. That's it. A lot of people doesn't know that when he say 1 p.m., a lot of people didn't understand what he was saying. But how I interpret it is one prime minister for life. That's it. Not Mark Golding. No way. No way. As long as he's there, he will never succeed, neighbor. Never.
Uh-huh.
The People's National Party have to wake up and look at that. Because the role of our prime minister rolling right now, he's rolling right into the 4th term.
But sir, I think Miss Jackson Miller is a bit worried there.
She know what's going on. She know what's going on.
I think so.
But no one want to go against Golden because they want to say they have a unified party. But give them another year from now or two when the Paris Coast election again. I think in 2 years time or 3 years time, somewhere there. Look what's gonna happen. Because I know they're gonna lose that election. And right there they're gonna try to kick them over. But it's okay. I'm a Jamaica Labour Party supporter. It's okay with us. Leave the guy there. Make he stay there. Because we will have something to target him with.
Leave him there.
Yes. We need Mark Golding there. Leave him there.
Oh,
If the People's National Party want to be in the opposition, leave Mark Golding there. We, the Labour right, yes, we need him there. We doesn't want him to go nowhere. Because as long as he sit there, he will never becomes the prime minister. Isn't KD Knight told him the same thing?
well, he's disputing that in terms of a court matter. They never say it.
Oh well, when somebody used his voice when he was saying it, or somebody changed his voice. Nah, he did say that. The hypocrite. He did say that. And the guy, KD Knight, right. Yes, we believe what the guy said. We hear it come from his mouth. We hear it. We ain't deaf. We hear it. And he spoke one thing with KD Knight. He spoke what on his mind. And because of that, we have to believe the guy. The guy stated loud and clear. He will never be a prime minister in Jamaica. And that's okay with us.
That's very interesting, sir.
I'm not a hypocrite, neighbor. I'm not a hypocrite. If my point of view, I hold it and I keep it, and I'm gonna let everyone know how I feel about that guy. We live in a society right now where we have to deal with it every day. The people who doesn't look like us, we have problem every day in every sector of life. Because we have to work triple time harder on the person who doesn't look like us. This guy not to get a free pass to nothing. Period. He have to work for it. He doesn't work for it. He have another place where he can go work for it. It's open to him. That's his country, not Jamaica.
And on his side, sir, is there anyone that you think here qualifies to replace him?
Not right now.
No.
Not right now.
No, sir?
The one star, they get rid of her.
Yes.
They get rid of her.
That is Mrs. Hannah.
Thank you.
Oh
They
my!
get rid of her. You know,
You like her?
yes, sir. Yes, I do.
By the way, I see her posting some pictures there that are causing a little bit of controversy. You saw them, sir?
Yes, I do.
Oh my! You look at them?
Yes, I do.
You look at the pictures?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Well, she's a very interesting person. Until today, you know, she's a little bit older today, but you know, she's very interesting.
I see.
She's that kind of person, you know, you can take her, go have a drink, you know, you can take her out, go have a dinner or something, you know. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. But you wouldn't vote for her?
Well, I pause on that. I pause on that. If she was in the right party, you know, she would be great. But because she chose the losing party, you know, I wouldn't give away my vote if even she was, you know, be the but she better than Mark Golden. She better. You know, she's a better person. You know, and I wish she would just switch and get away from those people and go to the Jamaica Labour Party the next time. I think she would have a better. I think she would have a better future in the Jamaica Labour Party than the People's National Party.
They say a day in politics is a long time, you know, so you never could tell what could happen.
Well, if she listening, you know, we support her if she moved to the Jamaica Labour Party the next time.
Yes.
Because I think we're gonna have a bunch of empty seat where some of those people are not gonna be running back.
Did you hear the release by the Patriots, the young professional arm of the Jamaica Labour Party, calling the members of the government intellectually anemic, sir?
No, I didn't hear her speech.
You didn't hear it?
No.
I wonder if I can find it for you and play. Hold on there. Let me see if I can. I'm surprised you didn't hear it. I've been playing it since morning. You know. Yes, the Patriots have actually come out with a statement saying that the Labour Party is intellectually anemic. Very, very, very disingenuous. Can I find it? All right. Yes, here is it. Here is it, sir. Okay. Here is it. Okay. Listen to this.
In a statement on Monday, the Patriots say Golding's October 3 letter welcomed the Prime Minister's stated willingness to work together on constitutional reform. They say the letter also stressed that true progress requires a direct dialogue between both leaders. G2K previously stated that Golding's stance is an indicator of his willingness to act as an impediment to Jamaica, removing the United Kingdom's monarch as head of state. But PNP Patriots President Reverend Dr. Paul Blake says G2K's criticism reeks of insecurity. This, he says, comes from realizing that Golding's intellect and composure expose the intellectual anemia of the JLP's own leadership bench. Dr. Blake says the Patriots will not entertain lectures from those who mistake loudness for leadership and partisanship for patriotism. The Patriots urged the JLP and its affiliates to reconsider their stance and embrace Golding's proposal for leader-level talks. In closing, the Patriots noted the constitutional reform process is not about optics, but rather about delivering lasting change for all Jamaicans, especially the youth who will inherit this legacy. Lord.
You heard that, sir?
Yes. Isn't the Prime Minister reach out to Golding?
Yes.
And refer him to Delroy Truck?
That's right.
And
but the Patriot is saying that Golding intellect is you know, the Jamaica Labour Party leadership bench is intellectually anemic.
I think it's the other way around. I think it's the other way around. These people, they're all hypocrites.
You know, sir. I don't